What's up guys, it's me Deshaun. Today we're going to be talking about how strong Cid Kagenou is, or better known as Shadow, from Eminence Shadow. So the best way to describe Cid is the fact that he is practically the peak human. Unlike other isekai protagonists, he is a master of many talents. He's like Batman if he was in an isekai, and that isekai gave him a bunch of broken superpowers, from destroying atoms with nuclear magic to running multiple times faster than the world's fastest car. And this would make him one of isekai's most broken. Now before we talk about his big boy abilities, we absolutely have to break down his superhuman prowess and how much of a monster he was in the human world. He would be a master martial artist, so much so that he would take multiple martial arts and fuse them together. I can't stress enough how Cid's skills and techniques put him on a completely different level. From playing cards to being a musician to being an actor, martial artist and swordsman, he is a whimsical jack of all trades, an eminence in Shadow. He would also be a combat genius. At a point in his regular human life, he was known as the Hoodlum Slayer. And during this time, he would casually fight mobs of gang members, destroying them with ease. Cid's combat genius and tactical prowess would be shown even in the human world. Despite being a small high school student, he would take on a 250-pound man with a 6'3" height and military training on top of it, and he would slowly dissect his fighting style and break him down, developing a perfect counter against his opponent. He would use his crowbars as tonfas because he was able to analyze the tool and craft out how perfect this simple tool would be for combat. And we're not talking about just simple whacking somebody with a crowbar. He turned it into a weapon and used a real form of martial arts with it. For the most part, he would never try in a fight in the human world. And when he fought this dude that was in a significantly larger weight class, seriously, for a brief moment, he absolutely destroyed him. He would be so skilled in hand-to-hand combat, it would be known as his specialty. With a sword, he would swing an imperceptible blade while fighting an opponent that has been in a lifetime of battles. She would be no match for his swordplay because his techniques are natural. What I mean by this is the fact that whenever you swing a sword and swing it fastly, there are at least some preliminary actions. Even if it doesn't have that, you can still tell when the attack will land with enough experience, as long as you're conscious and you can react to it. This is how an ordinary sword fight would go. But against Shadow, or Cid, all of that gets thrown out of the window, because you would never be able to perceive his attack. That's how natural he is with a sword. He would harbor no bloodlust, no hesitation, no swagger. His sword swings would just be natural. His skills and techniques would lie at the bottom of an abyss that no one else can reach. That means that if you are human, you would never be able to face him because he's surpassed all forms of human limitation. That is what it means to be the Eminence in Shadow, and the only thing that he isn't stronger than is a nuke, which is why he wishes to surpass that. Cid, with this beyond Batman-like combat ability, would make him completely unparalleled in this form of combat, if not any and all forms of it. Now imagine if you were to give this guy unlimited tools and resourcefulness at his disposal, an infinite source of items at his disposal. He would basically have his own form of venom with the slime bodysuit. A slime would be a magical being that uses energy to change its form, and he would take this same slime and turn it into a wearable bodysuit. It would be super lightweight and silent, and because a slime can change its form, as it would become both liquid and solid, it can virtually become anything. He can draw his sword out of his bodysuit because his sword would be made out of slime, and he would be able to make any other weapon he wishes. He would stretch the slime out in the shape of a whip with sharp edges and cut his opponents. He can conjure daggers for long range ability, and even if you were to do something like stab him through the chest, like actually stab your sword through his body cleanly, it would not be able to do anything to him. With a simple movement of a finger, as he grows out a tendril, he can cut through his opponents like butter. And yeah, sorry, I gotta censor this. You know about that money. It is so dangerous that with this sword, he can wield it from wherever and whenever he wants. He can even kill you with his shoes.
That shit getting crazy, man. He got the retro slime blade 11s on, man. That shit crazy.
He can even compress the slime inside of his suit and turn it into a projectile for an attack. He can create a thumb-sized slime ball from his suit and shoot it, allowing it to easily zip through one of his opponent's skulls. He can also turn his slime suit into threads, cutting his opponents and even trapping them. His slime suit is basically unbreakable. The only time you'd be able to damage him is if his magic control just seemed to be lacking in certain areas, but this would not be a problem for Cid. If you're on the same level of magic as him, you wouldn't be able to scratch him. Even if you were to get past Cid's suit, it would simply regenerate any form of damage that he's taken. He killed more than 1,000 slimes to develop this suit, and even pushed all the slimes around him into the brink of extinction. Now that I've covered all of the basics between his combat abilities and equipment, I'd like to talk about his magic. So he surpassed the human world, but what about the magic world? In the world of magic, he finally accomplishes his dream and becomes many times stronger than any nuclear bomb. In order to surpass a nuclear bomb, Cid decided to become nuclear, and this would be his forte in magic. With the chant, "I am atomic," with the single swing of a sword, all sound is lost, and a torrent of light shoots up, penetrating everything and destroying it on an atomic level, literally vaporizing anything in its wake. And that is no joke, it even vaporizes dust. Dust no longer exists in the space that he destroys with this attack. In a way, it would be like peak attack potency. I don't think it would be too far-fetched to even compare this to a Hakai or a lower level one. And this same dangerous attack would have multiple variations, like his atomic all-range attack. Rather than a simple swing or a flash of light from his sword, he stabs into the ground and destroys everything all around him. A full-on area of effect attack that decimates everything, destroying it on an atomic level, swallowing even holy swords and other magic entities. The best way to describe how strong he is with magic is the fact that he has atom manipulation. Not only does he destroy atoms, but he can also recreate them. Instead of being disintegrated, you basically just reintegrate. And if you were turned into a ghoul, vampire, or any type of weird body chemistry altering creature, he can revert you back into a human. The funny thing with all of these moves is the fact that you just see a flash of purple light and you're either dead or probably alive again. The next ability would be a little more different because he would convert all of his nuclear magic energy into his atomic sword, and anywhere he swings it, everything that is in his wake is bisected, leaving only a bluish purple afterglow in the wake of nothingness that it leaves behind. Everything as far as the eyes can see is slain. All of it, beast, trees, and buildings alike, now has a perfect horizontal line cut through it. I'd compare it to Gojo's purple from Jujutsu Kaisen. They even describe it as, it's like God himself has come and divided the world into tops and bottoms. It gets even crazier because this same purple erasure energy can even be manipulated by Cid. With the move Utsusemi no Atomic, he will manifest this nuclear energy into the form of 9 dragon heads. And these 9 dragon heads will consume everything in its wake, toying with and torturing ever gets hit by this attack. The first dragon head would bite off your right arm. The second one would bite off your left. The third would go for your right leg. And the fourth would then get your left leg. The fifth and sixth dragon heads would cut through your torso. The seventh would eat through your chest. And the eighth would go for your neck. And the ninth would finally consume whatever is left. Most likely it would only be your head. The next two abilities are only in the web novel, but I kind of feel like they should also be included. Cid can actually create atomic rain. His nuclear mana would get stored up into slime and rain down on his opponent from the sky. And the next attack that he can do is that he can compress his magic into particles and release them around him, and he can perceive anything around his surroundings. When I say he has atomic manipulation, I feel like that's the most accurate way to describe his magic abilities, because this resourcefulness has a pretty broad range. And outside of nuclear abilities, he can basically physically enhance other weapons that he may have, even altering the size of his sword. He can even use overdrive to surpass any physical limitations he might have with his body. Kinda like a Kaioken, he can also damage it if he goes past his body's limits. He can also slow down his perception of time, moving multiple times faster than his opponent. And he has over 48 techniques, similar to this one at his disposal, but it seems as if he doesn't really get pushed to actually using them. These 48 techniques are the 48 hands of minor mystery. The only one that we really get to see is in Volume 5, which is Technique 49, which would be that speed perception ability. And a big thing that I would like to bring up about his resourcefulness with magic, the fact that he was able to work at a level to create atomic magic. His brand new, never before seen form of magic. After researching it for so long, it would not be too far-fetched to say that he could use other abilities similar to the other characters in the series if he truly wanted to. On top of all this, he would actually have a very high luck stat, so fate is even on his side to a certain degree. Now, these are all the abilities that I thought were worthy of mention to really get a clean-cut idea on how strong Cid is. An unparalleled superhuman with magic abilities that can erase anything, unlimited resourcefulness and weaponry at his disposal, and then you add in the fact that he would be immortal. It's hard to say that anyone is really standing a good chance against him, unless you just out-hacks him. But with all that being said, tell me what you guys liked about the video in the comment section below. Would you like to see more Eminence and Shadow videos? Please leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Y'all take it easy.